with the Sic'Em 365 podcast for the Field of 68 Network. We're joined today by Baylor assistant coach Alvin Brooks. Alvin's in his fifth season with the Bears and has played a huge role in Baylor getting to where they are now, which is the number 2 ranked team in the country. Number 1, in my opinion, and I know a lot of others people's opinions, but the rankings don't really matter when you got such a special time going on right now. And Alvin, first of all, we're talking to you shortly after the big win against Texas in Austin on Tuesday night. I was really encouraged more than anything because I thought Texas played really well, and you guys still found a way to come out on top by double digits. My dog over here is getting excited. But first of all, what was the bus ride home like for the Bears after that game Tuesday in Austin?
It's kind of different, to be honest, just because now we have 2 buses. Okay. So it's not the same. The players are on one bus and the coaches are on another bus. So, I mean, obviously, after a big win, the bus is always going to be a lot of smiles and just really more people on their phones because you receive a lot of text messages from people, family and friends. So it was more just, more texting people back and just talking amongst one another about, what someone may have said that was funny or whatever it may be.
Right. Well, that game, I think more than any this season was so highly anticipated because everyone knew Baylor was a high-level team, but I think some people thought, hey, if they're going to drop one, this Texas team might be the team that gets them. What did you notice from the squad just kind of leading up to the game as far as the excitement or the focus or just anything surrounding their mental frame?
This team is special, to be honest. Like the way they pay attention and the way they ask questions, unlike any other teams I've really been around. And so I think the attention to detail was the same. You could tell, I think the emotions were a little different just because, it's a rivalry game. And I think so. I think the emotions was a little different, but I think as far as preparation wise, I think we kind of stuck to what we do a little bit like we normally do.
Alvin, I want to ask you, because I know, I imagine Coach Drew is this way, but when you get a ton of text messages after a win like that, are you the kind of guy that feels like you got to clear your deck, get them all answered that night, or do you take a day or two to answer them? Or, what's that like as a coach?
Me personally, I've always felt like I have to respond.
Right.
And even if it's like at midnight when I get home or whatever it may be, I try to respond to everybody just because, I've been on the side where I've text coaches before and they took a day or two and I'm thinking like, man, there's no way you that busy. So I don't want to be that guy.
That's funny. Well, I want to ask you this because I mentioned this in the postgame podcast, but if you would have told me that Texas shot 45% from 3 and they made, I think 10 threes or maybe 9 or 8, I can't remember how many they made, but they shot it well and they out-rebounded us and they shot 10 more free throws than us. I would have told you if those were the only stats I knew, I would have said, I think Baylor probably took a loss. And yet we win by 14. What do you think the difference was? We shot it well, obviously, but in your mind, what was the differentiating factor in winning that game?
I think you answered the question. We shot it well. We shot over 50% from 3. Yeah. And so anytime you could shoot over 50 from 3, and I'm not sure exactly how many we made, but we shot the ball well. I thought our guys did a great job. And, I think a stat that, hadn't been talked about is Texas have a really, really good defense. And the team that had the most assists against Texas was K-State. They had 12 assists. Everybody else was either 9 or less or sometimes 10, but they didn't give up a lot of assists.
Right.
And so for us to have 13 assists against them, which is the most they've given up all year, me personally, I was more proud of that than anything.
Yeah.
Right. Alvin, everyone loves to hear about the different journeys that each player took to get to Baylor. Everyone's has really enjoyed getting to know this team. But people love hearing about the assistant coaches too, and you've all taken such unique paths. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know your dad was the head coach at the University of Houston for a long time, very successful there. Now he's an assistant for Kelvin Sampson. But what was your life like growing up as the son of a basketball coach?
Being a son of a basketball coach, I grew up not wanting to be a basketball coach because I seen kind of, the late nights. I was in high school at the time when my dad was the head coach, and the nights where it was a home loss, we would be in the gym till like 2, 3 in the morning, just because he'll be there watching film, and I had school the next day. And so I was like, man, there's no way I want to do this. And so I guess, you can't stop what you love. So after graduating with my master's degree, I called my dad and actually told him I wanted to coach. And he said, no, call me back in 2 weeks. He made a phone call to Doc Sadler, who was at the time, I think just leaving Fort Smith to go to UTEP, and Jeremy Cox, who's now the associate head coach at Stephen F. Austin, was the head coach that actually gave me my first opportunity at Arkansas Fort Smith Junior College.
Wow. And you've had some stops at some successful places, but everyone right now sees K-State struggling. Let me back up real quick, because tell me a little bit about your relationship with Grant McCartney, first of all, because I know Grant and you were on the same staff in Midland, and that was part of the reason you got to Baylor. Tell me about that relationship.
Man, Grant he was like, I was his only assistant. Yeah, and so we had a special bond because it was just him and I. So, we went through a lot that year. We were preseason number 1 in the country.
Wow.
And we had a real NBA player on our team that left us at Christmas, Nathan Jawa. He was from Australia. He left at Christmas, and we were up and down at the beginning of the year. We had some chemistry issues. We had a lot of talent, but we had some chemistry issues. And he left, and some kind of way the guys figured it out, and we ended up winning a national championship at the end. But it was great because he allowed me to do a lot. And obviously me being his only assistant, I guess I was kind of forced to do a lot. So it was a great, to this day, I still keep in contact with Coach Mack.
Yeah, it's great to see him having success. Actually, I'm just going to sneak in one more question, because I had started to ask him about K-State, which is where Alvin was before he came to Baylor. And K-State had a really nice run there for a while, winning a share of the Big 12 championship at one point. What did you really take away from working under such a great coach like Bruce Weber?
How to treat people at the highest level. I've always, I started off in junior college. I played junior college, and then obviously I was at Sam Houston, which is considered, low major to a lot of people. Then Bradley's considered mid-major to a lot of people. So it was my first high major experience, and to see him treat everyone well, like little things like before a game, he makes sure he shakes everybody's hand, no matter if you're a manager, graduate assistant, just the fact that you could be a good person and win at the highest level. And defensively, he taught me so much, him and Chris Lowry. They taught me so much as far as how to defend at this level, and just finding the right kids that fits you. Because there's a lot of perception of, what you need to do at the high major level. And, they kind of showed me a different way.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the defense. I know that as coaches, Drew tries to prepare you to be well-rounded in all areas. But I do also know that, you and Jerome have been responsible for the defense, and maybe John and Scott have been more responsible for the offense. Would that be fair to say that that's somewhat of a focus?
Yeah, that's
okay.
True.
Defensively, we're outstanding. Number 3 in the strength metrics. We're number 1, until Houston and Tennessee, I guess, overtook us over the weekend. But what do you see like that we need to get better at? Is the interior defense the main weakness, or do you think we need to lock down on the perimeter? I mean, the perimeter defense for my untrained eyes seems like it's the strength, but where do we need to get better?
We have to limit people from hitting half-court shots. that messes up our percentage.
Yeah.
No, but I think that the biggest thing is we have to just continue to stay connected. I think it's going to be nights to where, guys are going to perform at a level that a little higher than what they normally have, just because people get up to play us. And so we got to be prepared for that. And I think at the end of the day, we're not going to hold everyone to, 39% or less or 40% or less, but we got to figure out a way to where they're not shooting a career night. And so biggest thing is just staying connected the way we are. And then I would say just rebounding, defensive rebounding, especially when we play 4 guards and, we play 3 guards most of the time. So just everybody boxing out and getting a rebound.
Yeah. Who have you seen take the biggest leap defensively this year? Like if you were going to say from the summer to actual performance on the court, who do you think has improved the most?
I think the most impressive person for me personally is Jared Butler. Just from, and I'm hard to say from the summertime just because we didn't really have a summertime.
Right.
But just from his freshman year to now, he's took one of the biggest leaps as a defender that I've been around. I know as a freshman, people used to try to, attack him. And now, obviously he's on the list for one of the best defenders in the country.
Yeah.
When a team goes from being a good defensive team to an elite defensive team, how did that happen? I mean, because Baylor, was fine defensively for a long time, but last season, everyone just was like, wow, this is a special unit defensively. Is it one person or 1 or 2 guys coming in with a certain energy, setting the tone? Is it more about X's and O's? How did this team go from good to elite defensively?
First of all, I mean, we have some unbelievable one-on-one defenders, so we can't take credit for that. I mean, Davion Mitchell and hold on for a second.
No, that's
vital. And
Close the door, please, Austin. Thank you. I forgot to lock the door.
I forgot to take my dog off the couch, so we're good.
So we have some unbelievable defenders and Davion Mitchell and Mark Vital. And then, last year was Freddie Gillespie. This year's Flo Thamba and John. And so, I mean, we can't take credit for that. I mean, Jared Butler is a really good defender. Adam Flagler, Maceo Teague. I mean, up and down the line, I think we're a great defense. And I think X and O's wise, our guys are able to adjust at an elite level. And so game to game, if someone is trying to pick on us because we defend a certain way, we can tell our guys, hey, they trying to do this. So we're not going to help here. We're going to change it just for this game. And they able to do it on the fly at a high level is really unbelievable, to be honest, for them to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's like teams I've covered in the past at other schools, a complaint I hear is, players get to college and they don't know what it means to play good defense. So they don't want to play defense like they need to, or they don't want to embrace it. But here it just seems like it's like a pride thing, and it's almost like the cool thing to do. Is it one guy rubbing off on another and everyone just
I mean, we have certain slogans and that we want to live by. And so, and our guys, they're so competitive to where like they compete in everything. And so we pride ourselves on contesting everything. And so we want to contest every single thing. And so that's a big deal on why our defense is as good as it is. And then we also just, we want to communicate at the highest level and cover up for one another. And so we always talk about talking. And so I'm just listening to our games. And now, because it's not as many fans, you could kind of hear guys talk a little bit more. Like our guys take pride in communicating with one another. And I think that's why we're special.
Yeah, it really does feel like on this team, making a steal is just as cool as hitting a three. I mean, they take just as much pride in it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll quit babbling. You go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. So I want to ask you, every year has its own challenges and some of the things that maybe aren't seen, by the average fan. Maybe it's, weather related, or, somebody on the team got bad news about a family member right before the game, or, some of the COVID testing and quarantine and contact tracing. So far this year, I mean, what have been the biggest challenges? Has it been mainly the cancellation of games at the last second and the disappointment associated with that, like the Gonzaga and the Villanovas of the world? Or, I mean, what have been the challenges this season so far?
Yeah, I think that's been the biggest challenges. I'm not sure who said this, but I heard someone say the biggest difference this year is you have a third opponent, and the third opponent is COVID. And so I think that's been the biggest, difference for us is if a game is canceled and the guys prepared for it mentally, having to tell them that the game is canceled, but then especially non-conference, trying to figure out, can we get a game to play soon to kind of help them play someone else?
Right.
And so I think the game cancellations and postpone, I think that's been a big, mentally, I don't think a lot of people understand how much that could take a toll on kids that work extremely hard. And so I would probably say that is the biggest thing. And so we just try to, keep them uplifted. And, we've had games to where they've been canceled and we just had to practice. And so, of course, kids always want to play a game before practice.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest thing.
So as a coach, I know this thing probably happens with AU and with high school basketball, maybe more than college, but this year is unique because we have that 1 week where we have 4 games scheduled in a 7-day window. Have you ever been through something like that other than a tournament? Obviously tournament settings, but I mean, has that happened to you before?
Not in the regular season, I haven't.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, a tournament, yeah, but regular season, I've never been a part of it. So, I mean, if hopefully we're able to play all the games.
Right.
We kind of looking at it in a fact to where it's a blessing to actually play games now. It makes us appreciate them even more because the games could be canceled at any time. So why not take advantage of a small window to do something that we love?
Right. Alvin, last year, Baylor goes 26-4, and Davion Mitchell was so good. This year, I feel like, man, he is on another level. I mean, everyone improves from year to year, but I just hope the country is seeing how good this guy is, how well this guy's playing, and puts him on a second or third team All-American list. The fact that he's not a top 20 Wooden Award guy, to me, is a joke. And it makes me really mad, but that's another story. But give me a Davion Mitchell story that just kind of speaks to, his improvement and why he's taken his game from good to great this year.
He invests in himself.
Yeah.
A lot. I mean, he's always in the gym, always working out, and he watches a lot of film. And not just him, but this team watches more film than any team I've ever been around. But Davion is one of the main guys that watches film, not only on himself, but like on opponents. And so he's different. And the fact when you invest in yourself, I mean, obviously you're going to get better. I mean, it's at times Coach Tang and I, we ask him, Mark, and a lot of other guys, Maceo Teague, and we ask those guys, hey, how do you want to defend this? And we allow them to make the decision. And so that's how much trust we have in these guys. We actually ask them for their input, and then what they say, we roll with it because we know that they want to win at the end of the day. Yeah,
I just think he's a special player. I mean, with the way with everything he brings to the table, it's been cool to watch. And another guy, as Ashley will tell you, that I just have loved watching is Mark Vital. Any good stories about Mark that just kind of speak to his fire and competitive nature and how it kind of rubs off and sets the tone on everyone?
Man. Mark, man. Mark, he's like, I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
Like it's like no other ifs, ands, and buts about it. Like my team is gonna win. And so I mean, he sacrifices a lot. Like he never cares about scoring. Like he never cares about attention. Like his biggest thing is he just want to win. So I think his actions speak more than any words that he could say.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like as a coach, it's really rewarding. It would be rewarding and satisfying to look at a guy like Mark and where he was, maybe just even off the court when he came into Baylor 4 or 5 years ago, and just how much he's grown as a player and a person. Is that accurate?
I agree. I mean, I'm like a couple times this year. You know, obviously we switch a lot, and so he switches on guys, and he say, "All right, me and you on this island," and he'll tell them their own scout. He'll like, "I know you want to go right, so come on, let's do it." Like, and I'm like, Mark, what do they say? And he's like, he know he want to go right. He don't say nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
It seems like he's just having it seems like he's having so much fun out there. And I know all you guys are. Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll ask you two related questions, just as far as managing the game. But Jared yesterday, got the 2 fouls, and then he was in at the end of the half and picked up the 3rd foul. And then, so I wonder about that. Like, is that just a trust issue where you have veteran guys, and in the past, if you have younger guards or younger players, you might pull that guy out with 2 fouls and make them sit for the end of the first half, but you just trust your guys so much not to pick up like that cheap 4th foul and take yourself out of the game? Does it mainly come down to just trusting our guys?
That's a big trust thing. I mean, one thing that Coach Peterson likes to say is you have money in the bank.
Right.
And so, Jared has a lot of money in the bank when it comes to us trusting him on the court. So that's a decision that we felt like, he's the upperclassman. He's one of the best defenders in the country. So, he won't pick up that 3rd foul. And it was the end of the half. So we figured with such short amount of time to where he'll be safe to play the rest of the half without picking up the 3rd. But, the 3rd happened to be on the offensive foul instead of a defensive foul.
And I have to say, I was impressed by the refs, letting them play last night, because I think some officiating crews might have given them the 4th foul, like early in the second half. There was a little bit of contact on a Matt Coleman drive, and then also on that fast break where he was scrambling to, get his own miss and got the steal back where he hit Mark in the head. My second question related to defense.
Most people wouldn't be impressed by the refs not calling a foul for 19 minutes. But I agree, though. I mean, like, let him play, get rid of the ticky-tack stuff. I agree.
You just don't want, the officiating to foul out, Jared Butler, Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague, and those are our best players, obviously. But Adam Flagler, man, he really, as I watched the replay of the game, he impressed me so much in some areas. He got some key deflections. And the play of the game for me with him defensively was boxing out Royce Ham and getting a tough defensive rebound, getting a foul on Royce Ham. I mean, have you seen, just from the time he's gotten on campus, I mean, he came with a reputation for being a good offense player, and obviously he's still a good offense player, but is his defense just taking leaps and bounds, just going against our veterans in practice every day?
Yes, it has. I mean, his attention to detail. I mean, if you even watch his closeouts, he chop his feet, have a high hand. I mean, he does all the little things that a lot of people don't see that really helps us as a good defense and helps us to be able to get the rebound, because he boxes out, he turns and look. We always say if the shot goes up and your head immediately go look at the ball, there's no way you can rebound. And
right.
So he's one of the few guys that every time the ball is shot, he's looking to see who to box out. And so that's a huge attention to detail to allow us to be great.
Yeah. How much have you enjoyed working under Scott Drew, and how much have you learned from him? I mean, it seems like he's one of those guys. It's hard to be in a bad mood around, right? He's keeping everyone up. What's your biggest takeaway so far from Scott after your time on the Baylor staff?
I think the biggest thing is like you can actually enjoy life and be good at what you do. Like I mean, I've been here 5 years and my office is right next door to his. And it's never, I don't care if we won, if we lost the night before, the next morning he speaks to me with enthusiasm. And, as to have your boss do that, that gives you the energy to be able to flush whatever happened and keep moving forward. And so something a little like that a lot of people may not even think of a big deal, is huge for me because I had a chance to work for a lot of different bosses, and the boss set the tone in the office. And so if they're able to flush whatever happened and move forward, then you have no choice but to do it and make sure that you do the next thing for the program.
Yeah. That's a great story. And as good a chemistry as this Baylor team has, it seems like the staff chemistry is just as strong. And what do you guys do? What do you like if you have time to socialize as a group of the coaches and the grad assistants and all you guys? What do y'all like to do? Any routines or?
Oh, we big on routine. Well, I'm big on routine, so they'll tell you that. But I mean, we just typical, just laugh and joke, and laugh and joke with one another. But I mean, other than that, I think everybody are huge family people. And so we're away from our families a lot. So when we're not in the office, most of the time, we'll get together, but it'll be more family getting together than anything.
Right. Is Scott as good at ping pong as everyone, or as he likes to say, or as I hear? How good is he?
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. I'm not a big ping pong player myself.
Right.
But I know he's beaten a couple of our players in the past that were claiming to be ping pong champions. So he's pretty good.
Alvin, we'll ask you a couple more questions and wrap it up. But I know now you have 2 kids, right?
Yes.
2 sons.
Yes. 2 sons, 6 and 5.
6 and 5. All right. And I know you're the third. Is there a fourth? Alvin Brooks the fourth? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And so I know that Baylor is unique because I know one of your sons has autism and one of John's sons has autism as well. I mean, what is the Waco Baylor community met as far as being able to give you the resources you need to address that?
Oh man, it's been God sent, to be honest. When we came from Kansas State, AJ was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, we didn't know that he was diagnosed with autism. And so we actually went to Austin, and he was diagnosed with autism our first year here 5 years ago. And so he's nonverbal at the moment. And so it's been, a tremendous blessing to have the therapy in the area that we're able to help him. And you have therapy at Baylor, and then you have, speech therapy, and you have, ABA therapy. So, he have a lot of therapies that he can attend. And actually our youngest has autism also. He's just not as severe as our oldest.
Right.
And so to have the resources that we have in the Waco area is definitely God sent.
Great. And how long have you been married? Where did you meet your wife?
Man, I met my wife in Houston at her sister's birthday party.
Okay.
My close friends, they're cousins. And so I actually went to meet my friends there. And so she happened to be there for her sister's party. And, she tried to feed me cake all night long, but she'll tell you something different.
That's fun.
That's great.
Alvin, it's going to be an exciting next couple of months. How confident are you just right now with the mentality of this team, and that, everyone will not worry about undefeated records and rankings and, individual accomplishments and stay focused on the task at hand. What about this group gives you confidence that won't be an issue?
First, I think their character. I think that's a big deal. They don't really care about what others say. They love one another, and they work hard, and they coachable. And so I think with all those values, I think that we'll be okay, because they all have, one mission. And so when you have one mission, then you have an opportunity to do something special.
Yeah. Well, it's been a special season so far, special 2 seasons, and I know more good times are ahead. But we certainly thank you for taking the time to chat with us tonight, and we'll catch up with you again soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Alvin.
All right. For Ashley Hodge, I'm Jason King for the Sic'Em 365 podcast with the Field of 68 Networks. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube and all that good stuff. Thanks a lot.